The aims of this video are to tell you about how to make the case to your organisation for running rounds, how to find the right people to fulfil the Schwartz roles, and then how to sign up through the Point of Care Foundation. So the first thing when you're making the case in your own organisations is to link to the evidence base. So often senior management especially want to know what the impact's going to be on their organisation and how it's going to change things. So there's lots of indirect evidence to support the links between staff wellbeing and patient experience. So we know that if staff are well supported, that they deliver better quality care. The evidence shows that supported staff results in patients being more satisfied with their care, clinical outcomes improving and safety outcomes improving, and it can also reduce staff turnover, use of agency staff, and improve sickness and absenteeism rates. And Schwartz Rounds can contribute towards all of these outcomes. They're only part of that picture, but they're an important part of changing the culture of your organisations and improving the well-being of your staff. There's also quite a lot of direct evidence that supports Schwartz Rounds. There's a growing body of evidence that show that staff who attend the rounds experience decreased feelings of stress and isolation, so they feel more connected to their colleagues, they feel valued by their organisation, they work better in teams, they take that open conversation back to their own work, so there feels as if there's more transparency within the organisation. The hierarchies are flattened, so junior and senior staff in the rounds are seen very much as equal, and that's also translated back into the culture of the organisation. And actually listening to the stories in the Schwartz Rounds helps staff to feel reconnected to their work and more empathy with patients, so they can deliver more compassionate care if they attend rounds. Your organisation might want to know why a round's different. Often people say, well, you know, we already have supervision or we already have debriefing. So part of the case is to say, well, this is different. The reason it's different is because Schwartz Rounds invite every member of staff in the organisation, in catering departments, portering, administration and clinical staff. And there's not really other forums that do that. There's an evidence base. They follow a very structured format, which we teach you. So you can rest quite heavily on that evidence base, whereas some other forums don't have such a strong research foundation. The focus is very much on staff experience and reflection. So other forums often focus on improving care and changing things, whereas the Schwartz Rounds are very much reflective, which can be quite countercultural, but it's shown that that sort of space improves the ability to process the emotional impact of caring. And there's no answers, there's no problem solving, which again can feel quite different. But the point is that the organisation is just giving staff that space to reflect on this. So the core components of rounds, it's important that food is always provided. This is a way for people to connect and chat more informally together, but also it shows that the organisation is valuing its staff symbolically by giving staff some food. At each round, 3 or 4 people present a story. You try to get a mix of non-clinical and clinical if you can, and they talk about an experience that they had at work that had a particular impact on them. These stories have been prepared in advance by the facilitators in a very specific way that we teach you to do, so that they're focused on staff experience, and they only last 5 minutes each. So the three or four panelists speak back to back, and then after that the facilitators open the discussion up to everybody, and again they facilitate it in a certain way, focusing on the emotional impact of care and the relationships that we form, steering away from the more problem solving pulls that can happen in these forums. And it's really important that each round is evaluated, so you're going to be using the feedback you get after each round to form your own evidence-based really within your organisation, and that's important because you want to know how the rounds are going, but you also want to be able to feed back to your board regularly to say this is the impact it's having on our staff, and the ongoing support that you need from the top is really important. Your first job when you're setting out to implement rounds in your organisation is to find the right people. So these are the people that you'll need to find, and I'll go through each one. The main people are the facilitator, the clinical lead, the administrator, and the steering group. So I'll walk through those four now. The facilitator is the person who's going to lead the rounds. They'll co-facilitate with the clinical lead, but they usually take the lead, and often they come from psychological backgrounds or social backgrounds, or they're nurses, but it really doesn't matter in a way what discipline they're from. What matters is that they're able to feel confident facilitating a group and the emotions that come up in that group, and they have some experience of facilitating groups like that. They should be connected well in the organisation and have a good understanding of staff experience. And we estimate that this role can take up to 1 day a month out of their time, and that's mainly taken up with preparing and finding the stories for the rounds. The clinical lead is usually a senior doctor, and this was born out of the fact that the model was an acute care model, and in order to engage the doctors and the medical community, it was felt that having a clinical lead was important, as they sort of symbolised that particular staff group. Now we have more diverse organisations coming on board, sort of community services and places where they don't necessarily have doctors. So really the clinical lead can be whoever you want them to be, but they need to be a senior member of staff who's got experience of working in pressured clinical settings, because they'll be talking about their own experiences of working in that type of setting. And we expect them to commit about half a day a month to the rounds. And this is taken up facilitating the round itself and also attending the steering group meeting, which should be held once a month, approximately. They might also help doing some panel preparation, and it really depends, it varies based on who they are and how much time they've got. The administrator plays a really important role. They are there to make the rounds run efficiently. There's a lot of background work that needs to be done. They help with booking the rooms, booking the food, printing the evaluation forms and the sign-in forms and collating the data, and it's really helpful if you find someone who really cares about this initiative and staff experience. If someone really understands the concepts and wants to be the administrator, usually it works better. And again, we expect them to commit about 1 day a month to this role. The steering group should be formed really early on, so anyone you can find who's supportive of the rounds should be asked to be part of the steering group. But you should make it clear that there is a commitment to the group and that they need to attend a minimum of 6 meetings a year. So try to set it up more formally if you can, send out brief agendas and minutes so they take it seriously, because I think it's sometimes something that people want to be part of, but then they can't necessarily commit to it fully. So the people that you select should, again, come from a range of roles: senior, junior, clinical, non-clinical, and represent the staff groups across your organisation. So, map out main divisions of your organisation and make sure you have a representative from each one of those areas, or people who are really well connected, like people from chaplaincy, HR. It's good to get a comms member on board because they're going to be helping you to promote the rounds. So really think about getting a diverse group of people. And again, we think half a day a month, so that would include attending the round itself, attending the steering group meeting, and hopefully they'll be finding cases for you as well. Getting the board to sign up to rounds is crucial. We often advise that the chief executive should write our chief executive a brief letter of support, just so you know that you have that buy-in from the top. There is a financial commitment, there's a commitment in terms of staff time. The ideal would be to get the short job descriptions written into people's existing job plans. Obviously that's an ideal, some organisations have managed it, but making sure that the board know about it, that they're invited, and if they can attend regularly, then that's absolutely great. So in order for them to be sustained, the board has to really know what's going on with the rounds, not just at the beginning, but on an ongoing basis. So what do you do if you want to sign up? I think the big thing is obviously finding the funding, which can be quite a challenge. Often people, first of all, go approach their board, or they might have a trust charity that they approach. And if you're having difficulty, then you can always talk to our fundraiser here, who can chat through and hopefully give you some ideas about where to find the money. Then you need to find people for the roles that I've just been through. So trying to find the right people and getting people interested in the initiative. I think it's really hard to lead this initiative single-handedly. So I think if you can get a few of you together from the beginning to push it forward, then that's always helpful. Then you might want to know upcoming training dates and application deadlines so you can work towards those. I think often it can take a long time to get all the approvals through. So if you have something to work towards, then that can often help to speed things up. And then importantly, speak to us. I think once you've digested this information and looked around our website, give us a call, because each organisation is unique, so it's helpful to talk to us about what your needs are and then how we can help to get you set up. Thanks for listening, and we hope to speak to you soon.